June 25, 2023, DeKalb County, Georgia. According to investigators and the DeKalb County District Attorney's Office, police entered a vacant apartment after a neighbor reported a foul odor and an open door at the Hidden Valley Apartments. The man told officers he went inside to check, opened a bedroom closet and saw what appeared to be human remains, then immediately called 911. What police found inside would shock even the most seasoned investigators. Strapped to a stroller, wrapped in blankets, was the mummified remains of 7-year-old Olivia Hobbs Jordan. She had been dead for months. And her mother? She had simply walked away. This is the disturbing case of Olivia Hobbs Jordan, a little girl with cerebral palsy who needed constant care, abandoned by the one person who was supposed to protect her. How did this happen? Where were the systems meant to safeguard vulnerable children? And could it have been prevented? Before we dive into the horrific details, we need to talk about who Olivia was, because she wasn't just a victim. She was a little girl who deserved so much more. Olivia Hobbs Jordan was born with cerebral palsy, a neurological condition that affected her movement and coordination. She also suffered from seizures, requiring constant medical supervision and medication. At just 7 years old, Olivia was completely dependent on her mother, Alandre Hobbs, for every aspect of her care: feeding, bathing, medication, and mobility. Olivia couldn't walk on her own. She relied on a stroller. She needed specialized care that most parents would find overwhelming, even with help. But here's what makes this case so heartbreaking. Authorities found no evidence of recent medical follow-ups or therapy appointments, and no record of any social services outreach. Olivia lived in the shadows, unseen by teachers because she wasn't enrolled in school, unseen by doctors because she wasn't taken to appointments, unseen by a system that should have been monitoring a medically fragile child. And in February 2023, her mother made a decision that would seal Olivia's fate. Before we continue, if stories like Olivia's move you, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to Secrets in the Shadows. It helps us reach more people so no child's story is ever forgotten. And if you believe every child deserves to be seen, type #JusticeForOlivia in the comments below, because her name deserves to be remembered. Now, let's get back to the story. Let's walk through what we know happened, based on court documents and Alandre Hobbs' own confession, February 2023. Alandre Hobbs decided to abandon Olivia. According to her later statements to police, she felt overwhelmed by the demands of caring for a special needs child. Instead of reaching out for help, to family, to social services, to anyone, she chose to leave. But she didn't just leave Olivia with a neighbor or hospital staff. She left her 7-year-old daughter, who couldn't walk, couldn't feed herself, and needed daily seizure medication, alone in their apartment. Hobbs admitted to the police that she left Olivia strapped in her stroller with minimal food and water. Think about that for a moment. A child who couldn't move, couldn't call for help, couldn't even reach the food that was left for her. From February through June 2023, 4 months passed. Olivia was alone that entire time. The official cause of death has not been released, but investigators believe she likely died from neglect-related complications such as starvation or dehydration. Hobbs later told investigators she had no intention of returning. She simply walked away from her daughter and started a new life. June 25, 2023. Neighbors began complaining about a terrible smell from the vacant unit. When police entered, they found Olivia's mummified remains in a bedroom closet, still strapped to her stroller, wrapped in blankets. June 27, 2023, Alandre Hobbs was arrested and charged with malice murder, felony murder, and first and second-degree child cruelty. What makes this case particularly disturbing is Alandre's own words. When questioned by police, she didn't deny what she'd done. She admitted everything. She told investigators that caring for Olivia had become too overwhelming. According to the DeKalb County District Attorney, Hobbs said her life was too much. But instead of asking for help, and there were options available, She made the conscious decision to abandon her daughter. She admitted to leaving Olivia alive, knowing the child couldn't survive on her own. She admitted to leaving minimal food and water, knowing it wouldn't be enough, and she admitted she had no intention of coming back. This wasn't a momentary lapse in judgment. It was a calculated abandonment that lasted 4 months. The legal proceedings moved quickly. June 2023, Alandre Hobbs was arrested and held without bond in DeKalb County Jail. April 23, 2025. Nearly 2 years later, she entered a guilty plea to all charges. She didn't fight it or claim mental illness. She simply pled guilty. Sentence: life in prison without the possibility of parole. According to court transcripts and the district attorney, the judge called it one of the most egregious cases of child cruelty ever seen in that courtroom. Now we have to ask the hard questions. Because Olivia's death wasn't just about one mother's horrific choice. It's about a system that failed to see a vulnerable child who should have been on every radar. Question 1. Where were the medical professionals? Olivia had cerebral palsy and seizures, conditions requiring ongoing doctor visits. Seizure medications need monitoring. Physical therapy is essential. So where are the medical records? Where were the doctors who should have been tracking her care? If Alandre wasn't taking Olivia to appointments, someone should have noticed. Pediatricians are mandated reporters. If a medically fragile child stops showing up, that's a red flag. Question 2. Where was the school system? 7 years old means Olivia should have been enrolled in school, specifically in special education services. Children with cerebral palsy are entitled to individualized education programs under federal law. Schools don't just educate, they're often the first line of defense against neglect. But there's no record of Olivia ever being enrolled. No teachers checking in. No school nurses are monitoring her health. She was completely off the grid. Question 3. Where was Child Protective Services? Here's what's particularly frustrating. There are no public records showing CPS involvement with this family. Maybe reports were made and not acted on. We've seen that happen. Or maybe no one ever reported concerns because Olivia was so isolated that no one outside her mother ever saw her. But that isolation itself should have been a red flag. A child with significant medical needs who isn't in school, isn't seeing doctors, and isn't visible to any social service agency. That's exactly the kind of situation CPS exists to investigate. The broader problem: Olivia's case exposes a terrifying gap in our child protection system. Children who fall completely off the radar. After Hobbs's guilty plea in April 2025, prosecutors said Olivia's death was slow, painful, and lonely. District Attorney Sherry Boston emphasized that resources exist for parents who feel overwhelmed, saying help is always available before tragedy strikes. For the community, the shock ran deep. Neighbors expressed disbelief that no one knew a child had been left behind in that apartment. Others said the smell lingered for weeks before anyone called the police. For investigators, it was a scene they said they would never forget, a reminder of what happens when vulnerability meets invisibility. Olivia Jordan's name has since become symbolic of every unseen child whose life depended on systems that never came. Rest in peace, Olivia. Sleep peacefully. You were failed by those who should have loved you most, but now you're surrounded by the love you were always worthy of. Your story will never fade. If this story moved you, please take a moment to subscribe to Secrets in the Shadows. Your support helps these cases reach more people, so no child's story is ever forgotten and no voice fades into silence. Hit the like button, share this video, and join us in shining a light on the stories that deserve justice. Until next time, keep seeking the truth. Keep standing with survivors, because the truth should never stay hidden.